Good afternoon. So today, or actually last Friday, I asked AI to do a bunch of stuff, and then it generated these answers. I left it on my computer screen in my office, and the premise was, what facts and evidence would someone rely on to prove that the Constitution of the United States applies to anyone just because they're physically located in America? And then it went through and eventually got to the point where I had asked the question and I made the claim, oh, so you lied. Well, AI, when it comes to these answers, they are generated by lawyers and attorneys and people that have degrees and blah, blah, blah. But logic defeats all of it. So I'm just going to flip the camera around. I'm going to scroll through here. The great thing is that you'll be able to stop and push pause on the screen itself so you can read it. I would go through here and I would read every single thing. This was fantastic. And basically, I caught AI doing exactly what attorneys and lawyers do when they assume things like jurisdiction and applicability, and they assume that there is a state, a United States, and that the Constitution applies to people just because they agree. So I'm just going to throw this down and I'll let you take a look at it. It should be a very short video. Uh, so it starts off with um, what facts would someone rely on to prove the Constitution of the United States applies to someone because they're physically located in America? And then it goes down to all this stuff. And then the next question is I was not asking for legal opinions. I just want the facts. Here's the answer to that. And that presupposes the Constitution already applies to someone. Fair point. Factually, what is a state? So it's a political body. Yes, the state is fundamentally a political body. So a geographical location brings a claim or claims an injury in fact. No, geographical locations do not. So a state is not a geographical location. So if it's a political and legal, then how can it assert a claim that a legal right has been violated? And then blah, 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 blah. Here's the answer. And how can a political entity claim a right that was violated when rights are given by God according to the Constitution only for men? And then it goes through the answer. And then, so if a state's a legal fiction created by men, blah, blah, blah. I would encourage you guys to stop and just read all of this. Does claiming that a legal right was violated still presuppose the Constitution applies to the one that violated it? Yes. Now, remember, I'm not a lawyer. This isn't legal anything. It's just me asking questions. So then it assumes the Constitution already applies to the one who said it. To violate it without proving first its applicability with the facts and evidence. Again, correct. Automatically applies to circular logic. Does the Constitution claim itself or purport itself to be applicable to anyone outside of the original signers of said document? Does not explicitly contain. This is a good one. This is a really great question. And then here's another kicker. So we the people are the ones that signed it or the ones that are to be assumed to be applied to? I know, my typing isn't perfect. Get over it. Was there a United States before the Constitution was written? And then this goes here. So then the Constitution only applies to 13 colonies. So geographical locations were later changed into states and had the Constitution applied to them with facts and evidence? It's a good question. So geographical locations later became political fictions? Okay. And then, so dirt is now a political fiction. Okay, keep going in that. You just said land. You're absolutely right. So in a court of law, a legal fiction is claiming a violation of a right, yet it cannot provide evidence of said violation because it's a concept. Yes. Go through here. So can dirt or trees claim a violation of a legal right? No. So again, the idea of state is just that. It's an idea. Exactly. Can a construct bring forth a claim or injury in court? Does standing presuppose the Constitution already applies, therefore they have standing? And that was a yes. So presupposing something applies first without submitting facts of applicability into evidence first. Okay. So one who have to assume the Constitution already applies, someone to have standing. Yes. A lot of presumptions. Would the one claiming applicability have to first submit facts and evidence of applicability of the Constitution onto the record first before claiming its applicability? And then they just say it's this, that, and the other, but you catch them? Oh, presumptions. Well, factually, what is a citizen? And they go through here, and they give you all this stuff. Does the Constitution claim that citizens are required to be a legal member before the rights are secured? We'll go through here. Just keep going. So a citizen does not need to be part of the legal membership to have rights secured. Factually, what is a person? That's a good question, too. There's about 9 different answers for that one. So the Constitution secures the rights of the person, but doesn't claim to apply to that person? Yep. So now you're saying the Constitution is assuming its own applicability to all persons. Yes, that's correct. The Constitution assumes its applicability. Now this is a good question right here. Where in the Constitution does it say that it applies to all persons? Oh, look at this. You're stating the Constitution. So you lied. And this is where you read this real quick. It says, no, you just made a claim and considered it to be fact. You said the Constitution itself claims to apply to all persons, yet it doesn't say that in the Constitution. You're absolutely correct. So now we've established that what is factually correct and what is assumed to be correct is solely based on a lie. Keep reading this. This is really good too. No, claiming a fact without evidence is a lie under oath. Absolutely correct. Outside of any legal presumptions is a flesh and blood man using his imagination to create a legal fiction called a state or written instrument called the Constitution. And then human imagination, manifesting ideas. How, and then I asked this question, how do I write a motion in limine? But basically, this is what it came out to be the last part. This is so good. So take your time and actually read this and go through here. I would encourage you guys to do that. So have a wonderful day.